It's a beautiful day to you, our lovely and smart real estate investors, wherever you're watching us across the world. I'm super delighted to welcome you to another insightful episode of Property Matters here on YouTube. In case you're coming across a video like this for the first time, my name is Adejare and I'm your host here on Property Matters. Property Matter is a real estate YouTube talk show where we expose you to everything you need to know about the real estate industry. We talk about facts, we talk about events, we even go as far as doing a whole lot of educative insight on how you can invest without losing a dime. After watching this particular episode, you can also obviously, at your leisure time, check some of our playlists. I can assure you that you're going to find a lot. Like I say, Property Matter comes your way twice every week, and we are the best real estate YouTube talk show on the planet at the moment. So after watching this particular educative guide, do well to subscribe. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you very much. Big shout out to you. Thank you for staying tuned. Then if you are a new subscriber, please subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification bell, invite your friends and family to do so. I'll be back immediately after this short timeout. Don't go nowhere. Welcome back. I'm super delighted to be on your screen this morning. So today I'm going to be talking about the recent demolitions that happened in Oakfield Estate and also in the Jakonde axis. And the reason why I'm actually wanted to talk more extensively on this is because of the fact that when unpleasant situations and circumstances like this happened, people tend to give it different interpretation, and most times some of these interpretations are colored with sentiment and personal beliefs. And sometimes when unfortunate situations like demolitions happen on the Lekki axis, basically, people tend to be subjective in the way through which they analyze the situation. And in most cases, they also go as far as misleading people, saying basically that it's the demolition is actually targeted towards some ethnic groups, or sometimes they want to, adduce some political, falsehood to this. And when you look at this, the demolition was not targeted to any ethnic group. It has no political element in it. And when you need to understand basically is that when you're buying real estate in Lagos, there are some certain things you need to put into consideration, which I have outlined in some of my several videos. And talking about this, the unfortunate demolitions of properties, it's just quite sad that a lot of people presently right now are counting their losses. And I'll be outlining some important things that you need to look out for. In 2022, before this demolition exercise took place, there was a particular property that was selling in the monastery axis, and the client who felt that property was expensive sorted for an alternative, a cheaper option. And in the process of trying to get a cheaper option, he got in contact with an agent that took him to this particular place where this demolition happened. And you need to understand that when investors are investing wrongly, or when real estate enthusiasts are buying properties that when in a place where they are not supposed to buy, we cannot but highlight the role of local agents in these circumstances. We cannot. In fact, if we talk about the reason why we have more people lose their real estate investments, is because of the fact that some real estate investors have particularly tried to overlook and undermine the importance of working with an experienced real estate professional. And this is due to the fact that in cases where a property is perceived to be expensive, some local agents are always giving dangerous alternatives, which obviously always results to catastrophic end, just like what we're seeing. Now, when this man called me and he said he wanted to buy a property, and the property in Monastery as at that time is a C of O, which I have verified. It was quite unfortunate that I sent all the documents, all our verification on that property, and I said, this property is safe, this property is good for investment, this property is a good one. And this man said, no, I want a cheaper option. And in the process of trying to look for cheaper option, and the local agent took that man to this place where these unfortunate activities happen. Let me also state further that as of 2002, 2003, and early this year, I've been conducting a lot of property search for real estate investors in this same Oakville estate. In fact, I became so accustomed with some of the things the landlord in Oakville, to the point that many of them used to call me the real estate man, the real estate guru. But that was obviously is not the point of discussion. Now, when I was conducting some of my search in 2022, I found out that properties or landed, properties in Oakville are segmented into two. When you look at that Oakville, when you drive towards the further to the down part of that Oakville, you will notice, you will see that there's a boundary that is connecting that same Oakville to a lagoon. So most of the properties facing the lagoon are properties that the government have not put a title on them. Adjacent to this place, there are also places where they are doing a lot of works, excavation and reclamation in this Oakville. When I got there, I found out that government gave some companies license to excavate sand and of course use it for different purposes, majorly for the purpose of sand filling. Now, it was quite unfortunate that during my period of investigation in that axis, I also discovered that there are some places in Oakville that some real estate investor perhaps got to find out that some of the properties they have is falling under different kind of encumbrance. So what these people did basically was, at the moment they discovered that their property is acquisition, they quickly sold to real estate investors who were not aware of the status of the property. Now, when I was doing my search early 2023, when I was to do a due diligence for a real estate investor based in diaspora, ladies and gentlemen, I checked 9 properties within this lagoon axis of Oakville, and obviously the adjacent place where excavation is being done. And while I was picking coordinates and our surveyors were working, we found out that out of the 9, 7 of these properties are all acquisitions. They are all acquisitions, and the moment we pick all these necessary information for us to conduct a due diligence in that axis, there was a day one of our officers that was working with us at Alausa called us and told us that it is very advisable that we stay clear of that place. Imagine searching 9 properties and 7 are under serious acquisition. We're not talking about any kind of acquisition, we're talking about serious acquisition. So we got a recommendation that we should advise that real estate investor to stay off that place, because when you notice that larger percent of landed properties within those axes are acquisition, that is a clear indicator that government interest is there. Now, after the demolition exercise took place, we decided to speak with some of these local agents, and many of them said Sanwo-Olu, which is the present governor, in person of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, had interest in that place, and they are using their political power to take lands into their laws. And they also said that this present demolition was witch hunting exercise. But what actually happened? People bought properties in Oakville without searching. For the ones that care to search, they bought property without seeking the necessary approvals. Now, the thing is that when a property falls under any form of encumbrance, you can't even process anything, not to talk of a building approval. So larger percent of those buildings that you're seeing that have been demolished were either built on a land that is acquisition, or they were built without an approval. Now, I remember I said that one of the reasons why properties will go down in Lagos basically is that the basic minimum requirement that government require, or they request before they can grant an approval, is that your land must have a title, at least the minimum of a gazette, before you can process an approval. And I also stated in one of my previous videos that when you are building, Government agencies are supposed to supervise your foundation by doing what we call an integrity test on every stage of your construction. This was never the case. So what happens basically, and the reason why more demolitions will happen basically, is due to the fact that it's quite unfortunate that real estate investors, with all the noises we are making concerning due diligence, concerning seeking the necessary paperwork, concerning doing what is required for you to turn government attention off your property, many people are still not following these basic regulations that government has stated before you can build and acquire properties in Lagos, Nigeria. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. Local agents most times are always seeking for their own personal benefits. So sometimes all the needed due diligence, all the needed requirements, all the needed papers that will help your property not to be demolished, most of them don't even have an idea of what you're supposed to do. In most cases, they will say buy without understanding the status and without understanding the dangers. So what happened basically in the old view, when I did my due diligence and my search, I found out that larger percent of properties within those axes were under eco-brands. We have a lot different kind of acquisitions. Okay, we have different acquisitions on the old view. Surprisingly, when we were to go there and check the areas that were affected, I found out that structures that was at the entrance, okay, of this particular estate was never tampered with. And the question is, what actually happened? What actually is the cause? Now, when we're doing our due diligence, we found out that some of the people that owned property here got all their necessary papers. In fact, we found out that most of the landlords there, some had gazettes, some had COVs, and some have gotten consent. Now, for those who had this title, their properties were never touched, neither were they demolished. So the question is, was this demolition actually targeted, or does this demolition has a political undertone? You will be in the best place to answer the question. Now, what must real estate investors do in the future to avoid situations like this? See, I've said this several times, and I'm going to keep saying it until you understand what it takes to buy properties. Investing in real estate in Lagos is beyond that videos you are seeing, those drone pictures, those beautiful oratories. It goes beyond that. In most cases, we have people who have good sales pitch, people who can persuade you to go into an investment that will have negative consequences. Some people's mouths are so sweetened to the point that they don't even have an idea of what they are pitching to you. So if you go with the hype, if you go with the popular, in fact, there are some locations that you may want to invest in Lagos that you don't even need to use your trusted realtors, because your trusted realtor in most cases may not understand the procedures for vetting and checking. Now, basically, if you want to buy a property in Lagos, you need the service of a town planner. I've said this before. You need the service of a reliable real estate experienced person that can help you check. Then you also need the service of a lawyer that can read the title deed of the property you're buying. So in most cases, some of these local agents and other people that are portraying themselves as real estate practitioners may not have an idea that this needs to be done before a property is being recommended. They don't. So in your transaction, don't undermine the place of experience, the place of market analysis. You need to work with somebody that has the experience. You need to work with somebody that understands the market analysis. You need to work with somebody that understands documentation. Most of these people that are preaching properties to you don't understand this. We've been in this industry for more than 8 years. And I can tell you that larger percent of our clients today are forever grateful because they listened to us. So these and many more. So I'm going to be doing a video on the criteria or the qualities of a real estate professional that you should choose whenever, as long as it is Lagos. Experience is very, very important. As long as you're investing in Lagos, where we have so many acquisitions, and most times when you go for inspections, these things are not always obvious until a proper check, title search, background search, environmental search has been conducted. And sometimes when we are doing this search, we don't do it alone. We do it in conjunction with the town planning department at Alausa. We also do it sometimes if it's a building. We do it in conjunction with the Lagos State Building Management Control. If you know the kind of resources we put into search in order for us to ascertain the property is safe, you will pity us. You will understand that these guys are doing a great job. Sometimes 100,000 naira is not enough to do an extensive due diligence that will give you the current state and the future state of that investment. Most of these local agents can't do this because they don't know, and most of them don't even have the necessary team that can help them do this. And this is where buying properties from an experienced real estate professional comes to play. So, on a final note, for people who bought and encroached on properties, okay, that were acquisitions, got their buildings demolished. And also, there was a particular area that I also investigated in that Oakville, and I also found out that some of those properties as acquisition, and these properties were facing the lagoon, and a lot of real estate investors love the fact that this is a waterfront property. If I should build my vacation house, it's going to keep me. See, I've said this before. If it is facing the road, or it is facing the water, if it does not have gazettes, if it does not have COO, if it does not have good governance consent, leave it to leave it. Then if you must buy, that means you are buying with the intention that you will either fix this title by yourself before you build, or you sell to someone who is ready to fix the title. If you are not ready to do any of those two things I've just outlined now, see, in Lagos, leave it for them. Okay, and it's not just by so many people bought because the seller told them that he has started processing the COO and then the COO title will be out. Surprisingly, no document was being processed. It was after the demolition exercise took place that a lot of secrets were exposed, and a lot of people saw that they have been deceived. So these are some of the things you need to put into consideration when you're buying real estate in Lagos. So this is the outcome of the demolition. These are some of the things that happened. And as a real estate investor, look before you leave. And most times, work with a professional. So for the ones at Jakonde, what happened basically was that most of those places that were demolished were shanties. They were places that government had projects, okay? And most of those people that built there did not have papers to present that they own those property. In fact, we also found out that many of them anticipated that government would come anytime, but they never thought it would be that soon, okay? So for that one, it was just shanties that were demolished, although some buildings too were demolished. These were buildings that they did not have the necessary documents to portray or to show that the property rightfully belonged to them. So this is the outcome, and this is what you need to know about the demolition exercise that happened in Jakonde and also in Oakville Estate, Shongotedo. Until I come your way in another exciting, educative, and of course, beautiful episode of Property Matters. Once again, I'm Adejare. And of course, for your safe real estate investment, you know you should be talking to us. See you in my next video. Bye for now.